Good evening, Africa and the world. Tonight we bring you a powerful development that is sending ripples across the global diplomatic and political landscape, a moment that reflects the shifting winds of power, recognition, and respect, a story that bridges the continents of Africa and America. On July 28, 2025, a close associate of former U.S. President Donald Trump, based in the state of Ohio, has officially nominated President Captain Ibrahim of Burkina Faso, the youngest sitting president in the world, for the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, you heard that right. The leader many once underestimated is now receiving international nods for his bold leadership, revolutionary reforms, and unapologetic defense of African sovereignty. Let's break this down. Captain Ibrahim is not just another political figure. He is a symbol and emblem of a rising Africa that is no longer bowing to the pressures of foreign influence since coming to power. Has embodied a new type of leadership, one grounded in Pan-African values, unapologetic patriotism, and the prioritization of local development over foreign dependency. This nomination is not only a personal victory but a symbolic gesture that Africa is being seen, heard, and recognized not as a continent in need of saving, but as a continent rich with leadership, strength, and determination. Why this nomination? What led to it? According to reports from insiders within Ohio's political circles, the nomination was based on several bold moves made by. In his short but impactful time in office, he has declared war on exploitation, he has stood against the looting of mineral resources, he has shut out institutions that historically imposed debt in the name of aid. But beyond rhetoric, he has taken action, rebuilding national industries, securing international trade on fair terms, and prioritizing jobs and dignity for his people over the demands of Western donors. His decision to nationalize key industries, invest in grassroots development, and push forward a foreign policy centered on respect and mutual benefit has inspired many even in the West. It is no surprise that individuals within the Trump-aligned political class who themselves advocate for self-reliance and national pride would resonate with this unapologetic nationalism and leadership style. This nomination is not just about politics, it is about values. It is about a shared belief that nations, regardless of size or economy, have the right to chart their own path. And Captain is doing just that for Burkina Faso and, by extension, for Africa. But let us not forget the symbolic weight of this moment. For decades, the Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to figures who often align with Western ideals. Now the possibility that a young African revolutionary leader, one who has rejected Western strings, one who has said no to IMF loans, no to aid dependency, and yes to African self-determination, could stand on that stage speaks volumes about the new global narrative emerging. It tells us that Africa's voice is no longer a whisper, it is a roar, that young African leaders are no longer waiting for permission from global gatekeepers, they are taking action. It tells us that the courage to break away from old colonial shackles is finally being recognized beyond African borders. But with great recognition comes great responsibility. The world will be watching more closely than ever. Critics will look for flaws, while supporters will raise expectations. But if his track record thus far is anything to go by, Captain Ibrahim is not one to fold under pressure. Instead, he thrives under it. From Burkina Faso's rice revolution to the push for energy independence, from mass job creation to innovative manufacturing deals with non-Western partners, he has already begun rewriting the rulebook. And now, with a potential Nobel nomination, the world may be forced to acknowledge what Africa has known for some time. Captain is not just leading a nation, he is leading a movement. To the youth of Africa, this is a reminder that age is not a barrier to leadership. To the people of Burkina Faso, this is validation that their sacrifices and their resistance to neocolonialism have not gone unnoticed. And to global observers, this is a moment of reflection on what leadership truly means, and why the future may no longer be written in Western capitals, but right here in the heart of Africa. As we close this broadcast, let it be known that Captain E's name, once whispered in quiet revolutionary circles, is now being spoken in global corridors of power. And if this nomination becomes a win, it won't be his alone, it will be a win for Africa, a win for independence, and a win for a world that is finally beginning to respect African choices. Thank you for joining us this evening. Stay tuned for more updates as this historic nomination unfolds. Africa is not rising, it has risen, and the world is starting to take notice.
Welcome to Talk of Africa 360, your source for insightful news, analysis, and thoughtful commentary. If you value informed perspectives and fact-based reporting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is based on reliable public sources and credible online information. It is intended strictly for educational and analytical purposes. We do not promote or endorse political violence, hate speech, or any form of discrimination. Our goal is to inform, not to inflame. Thanks for being here. Let's stay informed together.
The news broke like a thunderclap. Captain Ibrahim Traore, the young president of Burkina Faso, has just been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. What made it even more surprising, the nomination came from a close friend of former U.S. President Donald Trump. And not just any friend, someone from Ohio, far away from the dusty streets of Ouagadougou. People all over Africa and the world are talking about it. How did Traore, a military captain, end up on the Nobel radar? Many Africans find this nomination unexpected. Burkina Faso is not usually in the headlines for peace. Instead, the country has faced years of violence and uncertainty. The world often expects Nobel nominees to be older, perhaps more polished, or from countries with long histories of peace negotiations. Traore's nomination challenges all those ideas. It has made people curious and even a little confused. Social media exploded with reactions. Some people cheered, others scratched their heads. Experts debated whether Traore deserves the honor. But one thing is clear, this nomination has put Burkina Faso and all of Africa under a new kind of spotlight. The world is now paying attention. People want to know who Traore is, what he stands for, and why his leadership could matter for the future. The story begins with a young man who took a big risk for his country. Captain Ibrahim Traore is not your typical world leader. At just 35 years old, he became the youngest president in Africa. He took power in 2022 after leading a popular military takeover. Many people in Burkina Faso saw him as a hero. He promised to fight corruption and bring hope to a country tired of broken promises. Traore's leadership style is different from most. He is direct, bold, and sometimes blunt. He speaks in simple words that ordinary people understand. Instead of hiding behind fancy suits or big offices, he often meets with villagers, soldiers, and students. He listens to their problems and tries to solve them quickly. Many young Africans see themselves in him. His youth gives him energy and a fresh perspective. He is not afraid to challenge old systems. Some call him a rebel, others call him a visionary. Either way, Traore has captured the imagination of millions. But being young also brings challenges. Older politicians and foreign leaders sometimes underestimate him. Yet, Traore has shown that age does not stop someone from making a big impact. His rise to power is a signal that Africa's future may belong to a new generation. One thing that makes Traore stand out is his strong anti-colonial message. He often speaks out against the lasting influence of Europe and the West in Africa. Traore believes that African countries should control their own resources and make their own decisions. He questions the power of organizations like the International Monetary Fund and the European Union. Traore says that loans and aid from the West often come with strings attached. He argues that these deals keep African countries dependent and weak. Instead, he wants Burkina Faso and all of Africa to be self-reliant. He has called for the end of old colonial agreements that still shape African economies. He is not alone. Across Africa, many young people agree with Traore. They are tired of seeing their country's wealth leave for foreign banks. Traore's bold words have inspired protests, debates, and even songs. But standing up to powerful international organizations is risky. Some worry that Burkina Faso could lose much-needed support. Still, Traore remains firm. He believes true freedom means saying no to unfair deals, even if it's difficult. Since taking office, Traore has started big changes in Burkina Faso. He has pushed for more local control over gold and cotton, the country's main exports. New laws make sure more profits stay in Burkina Faso instead of going to foreign companies. This has given hope to local farmers and miners. Traore has also invested in education and healthcare. He reopened clinics and schools that had closed because of violence. He wants every child to have a chance at a better life. Even in dangerous areas, his government works to bring back teachers and doctors. Security is another focus. Traore has reorganized the army and police. He works closely with local communities to fight terrorism. People feel safer now in many villages. Some experts say this is one reason for his Nobel nomination. Despite limited resources, Traore has refused to beg for foreign aid. He encourages Burkinabe people to rely on their own skills and ideas. This new spirit of independence is spreading. Other African countries are watching closely, wondering if they can do the same. Traore's Nobel nomination has changed how the world sees African leaders. For years, Africa was often shown as a continent of problems. Now, Traore's story shows that Africa can also be a place of bold ideas and new beginnings. People from Senegal to South Africa are talking about what is possible. In Burkina Faso, hope is growing. Young people feel proud. They see their president being recognized on the world stage. For many, it means their struggles and dreams matter. Traore's leadership is giving them something to believe in. Internationally, this nomination is forcing experts to rethink their views. Maybe peace does not always come from the usual places. Maybe it takes courage to break old rules and try something new. Traore's story is now a symbol of African strength and possibility. If Traore wins, or even if he does not, the world will be watching what happens next. His journey is inspiring a new wave of leaders across Africa. People everywhere are waiting to see where this bold experiment will lead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's broadcast. We begin with a story making waves across the international political stage, a story that blends African leadership, global recognition, and a historic nomination that is raising eyebrows and drawing applause across continents. In a remarkable turn of events, a close associate of former United States President Donald Trump, hailing from the state of Ohio, has officially put forward the name of Captain Ibrahim Traore, the revolutionary and youthful leader of Burkina Faso, for consideration in the upcoming Nobel Peace Prize selections. Yes, you heard that right. Africa's youngest president is now being hailed on a global platform for his fearless leadership, unwavering nationalism, and transformative approach to governance. Captain Ibrahim Traore, who took power at just 34 years of age, has in less than 2 years become a symbol of Africa's awakening. A new breed of leadership that speaks boldly, acts independently, and challenges the status quo imposed by centuries of colonial and neo-colonial control. The nomination, coming from a prominent figure closely connected to Trump's political network, has shocked many traditional powerhouses and pleased millions of Pan-Africanists who view Traore as a beacon of hope. His stand against external interference, particularly from institutions like the IMF, the EU, and various Western interests, has earned him admiration not only in Burkina Faso but across the entire African continent. Let us take a moment to reflect on why this nomination is more than just symbolic. Captain Traore has redefined leadership in Burkina Faso by focusing on self-reliance, national dignity, and grassroots development. Under his leadership, the country has seen a shift in tone, from dependency to determination. From being seen as a nation under pressure from foreign policies, Burkina Faso is now being discussed as a model for self-sufficiency, despite all odds. Captain Traore's rejection of Western financial strings attached to development loans, his push for regional alliances with countries like Mali and Niger, and his bold defense of African sovereignty at international summits have made him both a target of criticism and a symbol of courage. What's more, his policies haven't just been speeches and symbolism. They've come with tangible action. From promoting food independence to launching industrial projects, improving security in the face of terrorism, and ensuring that foreign companies no longer exploit Burkina Faso's natural wealth without fair compensation. This young leader is not just talking about change, he's building it from the ground up. But why would a Trump-aligned figure from Ohio, United States, choose to nominate an African president for the Nobel Peace Prize? The answer may lie in a shared admiration for nationalist ideologies, the belief in strong sovereign leadership, and perhaps a growing recognition, even within Western political factions, that Africa's current crop of emerging leaders are doing something that global governance can no longer ignore. It also points to a growing dissatisfaction with Western foreign policy that many feel has failed both Africans and ordinary citizens in the West alike. Traore's stance aligns with a new wave of thinking, one that demands equity in international relations, fair trade, and mutual respect instead of exploitation. In a world increasingly tired of double standards, his honesty and courage have become his greatest weapons. His leadership style has been unapologetically African, refusing to bow to pressure or fear. Whether speaking at the UN, addressing fellow African leaders, or rallying his citizens, Traore's speeches are filled with clarity, vision, and conviction. This Nobel Prize nomination, while still in the early stages, is already reshaping the global narrative. For far too long, African leaders have only been recognized internationally after they've aligned with foreign powers or followed prescribed paths. But today, We are witnessing a rare and proud moment where an African leader, acting on his own terms, with full autonomy, is being considered for one of the world's highest honors. Let us also not forget the message this sends to African youth. At just 35 years old, Captain Traore is not only leading a nation, he is redefining what young Africans believe is possible. His story is now becoming an inspiration across campuses, villages, media outlets, and boardrooms alike. From a young army officer to a national leader with a Pan-African mission, and now a potential Nobel laureate. This is a journey filled with sacrifice, principle, and relentless pursuit of justice for his people. And so, as global attention turns to Burkina Faso once again, this nomination serves as more than just a headline. It is a reminder to the world that Africa is not only rising, it is leading. It is producing visionaries who are not afraid to speak truth to power and act in the interests of their people without asking for permission. Captain Ibrahim Traore's nomination is a symbol of change. Whether or not he wins the Nobel Prize, he has already won the hearts of millions. And now, the world is being forced to take notice. Stay with us for more developments on this story and the continuing impact of this nomination across international and African political circles. Coming up next, how this announcement is shaking the foundations of Western diplomatic circles and what it could mean for the future of Pan-African unity.
As reactions continue to pour in from across the continent, one thing is clear. Africa is demanding respect, sovereignty, and accountability. Was this just a diplomatic misstep or a deeper sign of shifting global alliances? We'll be watching closely. If you found this story important, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered African news. This is Talk of Africa 360, telling the stories that matter.